a documentary about Shawn Hansen's Comedy Corner 2010. Starting off as a column in the Valley Patriot newspaper, Hansen interviewed a slew of comedians. From then, Hansen started his own television show at Burlington Cable Access Television. This documentary starts off with Ted James, reporter of the Meringue Times, who is trying to set up an interview with Shawn Hansen of Shawn Hansen's Comedy Corner. The reason behind all this is to show everyone what Hansen goes through every time he tries to get an interview.
I have a message. From Jacob. Ted, I was wondering if you could write a story up on Shawn Hansen and his television show, Shawn Hansen's Comedy Corner. Try searching for him on Facebook to see if he has a page for information about what he does. His publicist named Michael Scott, and reach him. Call him at his office, 1923-456-7832. Alright, search for him. Ooh, he has a page. Let's check it out. Shawn Hansen's Comedy Corner. Wow, this Shawn Hansen's Comedy Corner looks pretty legit. Let me get that phone number so I can give this guy a call. Alright. Hello? Hi, yes, my name is Ted James, and I'm a journalist with the Meringue Times. I write about local access television. I'm calling to see if I could set up an interview with Shawn Hansen about his TV show.
What day would you like to set up an interview? Shawn has something every day this week and wouldn't be able to do anything until the week of May 19th. May 19th he has something, and May 20th he also has something. But Wednesday, May 21st, he has nothing going on, so he would be available at 2 o'clock for you. That would be fine.
Okay, great. Thanks for your time. I look forward to talking with Shawn. Today is Wednesday, May 12th. I'm Ted James, and I'm here with Shawn Hansen of Shawn Hansen Comedy Corner. First off, you are not a comedian, but you write about comedy. How long have you been writing about comedy, and who was the first comedian you interviewed?
Well, Ted, I've been writing about comedy since August 2009. The first comedian I interviewed was Dave Russo, locally of Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And I met him down in Cape Cod last summer. And the funny thing is, when he was at the Radisson Hotel, I said, Dave, I'm Shawn Hansen. I'm with the 980 WCAP internship program. And could I interview you, because I want to be a broadcaster eventually, and I'm a journalist, and this would help me out. I can't get this interview on radio per se because I'm only an intern, but this will really help me out. He gave me his card, and we started a string of interviews. I've interviewed him like 5 times for the Tewksbury Advocate.
That's interesting, how you started writing about comedy in the Tewksbury Advocate. I read your columns all the time, and they're very good. When you started your own comedy corner in the Valley Patriot, what was the first big show you covered?
Well, when I started writing comedy in the Valley Patriot, when I started writing comedy in November of 2009, I interviewed Rick Cormier, and then from there, I covered Comics Come Home in Boston, and interviewed Dennis Leary, Lenny Clark, Adam Ferrara, all from Rescue Me, my favorite show. I was just astounded that I interviewed them. It was like I was watching Rescue Me. It was kind of funny. I was like, oh my God, Adam Ferrara. And then I interviewed Jimmy Fallon of The Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and Patrice O'Neill and Bill Burr. And that was pretty exciting too, because I was there with a bunch of different media outlets. I was the only newspaper there. And I actually did the first interview with Bill Burr at Comics Come Home 2009 on November 7th.
What comedy shows have you covered since Comics Come Home?
December 5th, I covered a comedy show at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium in Lowell, Massachusetts with no other than Bill Cosby. December 11th, I covered a show in Saugus at the Kowloon Comedy for Bob Seibel, and Kelly McFarland was there, as well as Alvin David. And from there, on New Year's Eve, I covered a show at the TD Garden with Dane Cook. January 9th, at the Wilbur Theater, I covered a show with Rob Schneider. I covered a show there with Pauly Shore on February 12th. And I've interviewed comedians such as Dom Herrera, April Macy, Richard Anthony Hypnosis from Las Vegas. And it's been pretty good so far. Like I'm going to be interviewing Tom Green in a few weeks to promote his show on September 12th at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, Massachusetts.
I've seen shows that night like Leno and Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and they got some pretty crazy segments. Do you have any similar segments on your show?
To compare my show to the late night shows is a good thing because it's pretty much the same setup. I'll interview a comedian for like a half an hour, and I'll have like a 5-minute sit down of what their comedy is. The segments that I have, one's called Paying Tribute, which whatever show number I have, for instance, my next show is number 5, I'll pay tribute to an athlete in Boston who's wearing number 5. So I'll probably pay tribute to Kevin Garnett, my next show, and just read off his stats and so forth. And then for my 6th show, I'll read stats off for Johnny Pesky, because he was number 6, and I'll double it up and do Bill Russell, because he was number 6 too, and he accomplished so much in Boston Celtics history. And another segment is called When I Almost Won an Oscar, and that has to do with this trophy right here. It's when I almost won an Oscar, and that's taken place in an auditorium, and I'll play the role of the host who's hosting the Oscar Awards, and I'll look different, like big top hat or whatever, big bushy mustache, and big glasses or whatever. I'll look different. And then I'll say, and the nominee, Shawn Hansen from Shawn Hansen's Comedy Corner. And then I'll come up from the stage, from the audience up to the stage, and I'll be like, oh my God, I won the award. This is so great. I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to thank my father. And I'll say stuff like that. And then the camera will zoom in on the name and the date. And then there will be someone else from my studio that has won the award. And then that person, their face will be in the background, and they'll just be laughing because they won the award and I didn't win the Oscar. And that's the way that segment ends.
So for my final question, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you or check out your comedy columns, where would they look for you?
Well, if anyone wants to get a hold of me, they'd send an email to smjokes@aol.com, and they could join my fan page on Facebook at Shawn Hansen's Comedy Corner on Facebook. And I also have a blog on www.shawnhansenscomedycorner.blogspot.com.
Great. Thanks for the interview, Shawn.
All right, well, thank you for having me.